Hi everyone, it's Lillian here. So welcome to another Monday evening crafting time. We have a good time together and I'm so thankful that you follow me and watch me on YouTube and all the different ways that you take part and support, and we have fun together. So let's just go down to my desk and see what I have in store tonight. All right, so I don't know where you're at and what the weather's like, but the wind has been horrendous all day long here, which is not the usual as a rule, but that's what it's doing today. So we're hoping that it blows all the snow away and that we will soon have at least clear lawns, if not green. It'll take a little longer for it to be green, I know, but it will get there, I'm sure. So welcome everybody. I'm going to try to get things rearranged here because what I see in my camera isn't always what I see in my computer screen. So we'll give it a whirl like that. And welcome everybody. I see some of you hopping on. So that is super. And I'm just sharing this to my group page so that the people over there can watch it too. And we'll be all set to go. So first things first. I drew names from everybody's name who left a comment last week. And they get the person whose name I drew randomly, they get the card I made last week. And the person was, whoops, her name fell off, Judy G. So Judy, congratulations. You get this card right here. And it's got that in the envelope. So I'll be popping this in the mail to you right away. Should be by tomorrow, hopefully. So, sorry, I'm still getting rearranged here. I'll get there yet. Just wanted to talk to you about a few things as people are still hopping on. So, I'm so glad you're joining us. First thing, I wanted to remind you about the All Together Suite. So a couple of weeks ago, I shared a card from here. So you can get the whole collection right here, the designer paper, the dies, the stamps. And I would say that you could get the blends, but quite a few of them are out of stock. They have been a huge bestseller, but you can buy some of them individually still. The paper is still available, and these will be coming back in stock, so don't worry. And then these are still available. So do take note of that. And I wanted to show you something I did with the blends. I saw this shared by somebody else. I took a brand new package of pearls, and I took each of the colors and colored a strip so that I have matching embellishments to go with each of those blends. So that's just a little tip that I wanted to share about that. The other thing is, if you enjoyed working with this paper last week, remember Paper Pumpkin this month is called Beyond the Horizon, and it coordinates with this suite of products. So you see a lot of the same look is what I would say, and the same colors. Plus, this is Paper Pumpkin's birthday month, so they tuck in an extra stamp set. So, but you have to order it by March 10th. So do remember to do that. Quite a few have already signed up and taken advantage of that. So I'm thrilled about that. I'm glad you're all liking about the pearls and the blends. I'm trying to remember where I saw it. It might have been Jackie Williams. I can't remember, but I was pretty pleased with the result. The other special that's going on just for the month of March is called Savings in Bloom. And this cute little Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine, the little mini one, is on sale for 20% off. So here's the mini. Might be a little close there, I don't know, but we'll see. And here is the big one. Oh, you can't see it. Let me just take the plates off here. Well, you can see that it's much bigger. Anyway, so the little mini is on sale, and the project we're going to do tonight is going to use some dies that actually fit in here. So the mini is perfect to have sitting on your desk for lots of quick die cutting projects. It takes the mini embossing folders. We sell them. It also, quite a few dies go through here. And when you're not using it, it actually goes right like that, so that you can just take it camping or holidays or whatever. Right now, if we go away, which we're not doing a whole lot of, because my husband's got some mobility issues right now while he's waiting for surgery, I need to take stuff to do because we don't, we're not as active as we usually are. So that's a little hint. So it is now on sale for $65.50. And then there are some bundles in the annual catalog that are also on sale because they fit in that machine. So one is this one right here, the all squared away bundle, and then all of these right here. So just some gorgeous bundles that you may or may not have, but they may be on your wish list, and they're 20% off. Now, a bundle, you're already saving 10%, right? So another 20% off is you're saving 30% on each of these things. So just something to be aware of, and do the math and check your budget. Now, tonight, I am going to be spending more time with this suite of products here, Waves of the Ocean. I don't know about you, but I love the ocean. I grew up pretty close to the ocean, like a 10-minute drive from the ocean. So we would often go down there in the evening, that kind of thing. So this really resonates with me. So how many of you are ocean or lake people or something like that? This might be something you're interested in. So once again, there is the whole suite of products, and you don't get a discount, but you just have to enter one number and you can have the whole shebang. And I'm going to talk about a class at the end that might influence you there. Or you can order individual parts of it. You can order the stamp set. This stamp here is absolutely gorgeous, right? That it's worth it just for that alone. Then there's the dies, great words as well. So then there's the dies, and this one's showed at actual size. These are 50% smaller, so they could fit in, or you can buy it as a bundle and save 10%. Then there's this great paper and the foils and the great rhinestones. So let me show you those, and then we're going to have some fun with them. So first off is the stamp set. So here it is right here. I'm trying to get away from the glare. So there's that. And then there are the dies. So you know how I like to go with the dies. I like to cut them out, and I call it my get acquainted with my dies time. So here are the dies. So there's this way. There's two different wave types of things. They're the birds. There's this image here, which you cuts out the stamped image if you want. Both of these work great for the words, and you can feed ribbon or paper through the holes if you would like. Great clouds here. And then you might be saying, what are those things? They look like they belong on a moose or a deer or a caribou or something. They actually can layer on the clouds to give them dimension, and they look really neat. Let me just show you one that's done right here. So can you see there how it just adds a little more dimension to the cloud, a little more interest, just like that. So, and Bonnie, you're saying you love the pelican. I do too. I really like it. And I know out even here close by, Jackfish Lake, there are pelicans. I think the first pelican I ever saw was in Florida, actually. So, Roz, I was in your area of the world when I saw my first ones. So let's see what else is part of that suite. So also part of that suite are these gorgeous rhinestones. You can see I've been using them, and they come in all these different shades of blues and greens, and there are 3 different sizes in each of the colors. So we have that, and then we have the designer paper. Let me just, now some of this designer paper I am down to scraps, believe it or not. and I was a little surprised. So this one here, this is all I have left. So, but it's got these swirls, and if you saw the video that I posted on Facebook, I think it was on the weekend, where they showed how they made this paper, where they poured paint and swirled it, and then took photographs and that kind of thing. So it's really, really neat. So these are actual paint swirls photographs. So this is, pretend this is 12 by 12. This is one side, and then flipped over, it's got the yellows and a bit of coral in there. And then there's this. This again is just what I've got left, but would look great in a mountain scene as well. And then on this side, it's got a little bit softer, but like that. And let me just trying to find space here. And then there's this one. I don't know why this one makes me think of outer space for some reason. But all the different colors, and then the softer side like this. And then there's this one here, which is very dramatic looking. And then over on this side, we've got, again, a little bit softer. Marilyn, you said the small dies to go with the cloud dies were used to make thunder clouds. Oh, neat. And I saw someone use them to cut out silver foil and put them on, or glimmer paper. And they look really neat too. So here's another piece of that paper. Just such different colors when you look at it, right? So this side is so dark and dramatic, and this side looks almost springy. And then there's this one here, and then this is on this side. So that's the designer paper, and then the foil paper. And again, I am flying through the foil paper. I have more than this actually, but I just had it cut down for a reason. So there's this that goes with the Night of Navy or the Pacific Point. Then there's the silver, and it's really hard to show this paper. And then there's a Coastal Cabana type of shade. But again, they pick up, like this would go with Bermuda Bay or all different other colors too. So those are the foils. So, I was going to show you the paper colors that go with the designer paper. These are the colors that go with it, and you can add more colors too. This is definitely not the be all and end all. So let me talk just a smidge more about the dies. So those gorgeous, let me bring in some paper here. Those gorgeous dies. So there's one of them. So I cut that one out of the foil. This one I cut out of designer paper. And this one I cut out of white. So you can layer them. You can put one on top of the other. You can decide what you want to do. You can use them on their own. You can stamp and layer them over the stamp. I will give you one little hint. Adhesive sheets are your friend. It's definitely possible to use little dabs of glue in the thick spots, but adhesive sheets are definitely your friend here. So if you're interested in this, you might want to consider that. And if you're like me and forget to use them, I now write adhesive sheets right on my die folder to remind me. I wanted to also just share a couple of other little tips. If you wanted to use the stamp and just have water, and I know Marilyn showed this the other night as well, you can stamp just this piece right here and end up with just water, and you can do some interesting things with that. Another thing that you could do is you could take this stamp here and stamp it in Versamark all over some paper, and then I use clear embossing powder. I could have just left it with Versamark or with colored ink. Now you might say, that looks pretty dorky, Lillian. What in the world are you thinking there? But if I start to put some layers on it, it looks like a background. So I'm going to play around with that and see what I can come up with. And I have thousands of other ideas, but let's get on to making our card for tonight. One thing I wanted to remind you of, the wave stamp is large, so you need clear block F or your Stamparatus. And I tend to use my Stamparatus when stamps get this big, but or sometimes I have been known just to use my hands. But I would suggest a Stamparatus or clear block F. So let's see if I can get organized here a little bit and bring in our pieces for our card. So my first piece is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2, and it's going to be burnished and folded, and we'll put that to the side. The next piece is going to be 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, and then it's going to layer on a piece that is 3 3/8 by 4 5/8. So I just left that tiny little 1/8 border. If you don't like that measurement, make it 3 1/2 by 4 3/4 and make it a little bit bigger. But those are the measurements I used, and we're going to do everything on this right here to begin with. So we'll clear a spot, and I'm actually going to bring in my Stamparatus like this. I'm just trying to figure out what's causing the glare. There we go. That should be okay. And we're going to put this down, put our paper down first. And I've got some grid paper. I'm going to use one of the magnets. One is just going to be fine for this one. So now I've got it like that. And for those of you who don't know what the Stamparatus is, I'll show you how it works. Then you're going to decide where you want your stamp. Now, the one thing I'm going to be aware of is that the stamp doesn't start right at the edge. There's that little bit of border there. So I'm going to drop it down so that, and you do this with a clean stamp. I've done it with an unclean stamp. It's not the result you want. So there we go. And now we're going to close this up, and that stamp is going to stick there, and that's going to be like our block. I just want to make sure I've got that down low enough, and I'm not sure. I'm going to lower it just a little bit more. Earlier today I was doing this, didn't have it low enough, but I just redid it on the back and all was good. So there we go. Now, what I like to do, I'm just looking for my stamp set. I like to put something underneath here so I can get good coating right there. And I'm going to bring in colors of ink that was in the designer paper. So I have Granny Apple Green. I have Pacific Point and some Coastal Cabana and Night of Navy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lightest color first and ink up that stamp. Sue, I see you're on here and you've got your Stamparatus now. You're in heaven with that, right? So now we're going to put this over and push down. Now, if you find that sometimes your hand sticks a little bit, I learned again this from Marilyn Joanne. I love my staycation team. We learn so much from each other. If you take just a tissue or Kleenex, and it just goes smoother. I sometimes use a chalk eraser, a whiteboard eraser, whatever. But there, look, isn't that gorgeous? I just love how it stamps. So now I'm going to bring in my Simply Chamois and clear the Coastal Cabana off. Now, a Simply Chamois is usually this big, but I cut mine in half because I have trouble handling bigger things, and it just seems to work better for me to have it in half. But what it is you get this wet, and you can wipe off your stamps. So now what I want to do is I want to add some color on here, and because this is the Stamparatus, I know I'm going to hit the exact same spot. So I'm going to bring in Pacific Point, whoops, and I'm going to open it all the way and not play, just keep closing it up there. And I'm going to bring in a sponge dauber, Now I've gradually have built up over the years, so I have one for each color. But if you don't, start with your lightest color and you can gradually get darker. So I'm going to put some ink on my sponge dauber, and I'm going to, I think I'm going to follow this around a little bit here, and I'm going to, go like that, and we'll swirl in a swirl here, and maybe a little swirl here of Pacific Point. And then we're going to put it down, and this works so much better, like that. And now you can see we're starting to get some color in there. Now I'm just going to wipe that off. Sometimes I just keep adding color, but I'll show you the proper way to do it. There we go. And now I'm going to bring in Night of Navy. And my Night of Navy dauber. I always check the labels. Oh, I'm seeing some hearts. Ooh, I'm so glad. I love getting this effect. And we'll put a bit down here. And, where should we go? And there really is no scientific principle. It's just having a little fun and adding more color. It looked gorgeous just in one color, but look at how it's starting to go. And now I'm going to bring in the Granny Apple Green, and I'm not going to use much of this, just a little bit, because there was green in that color. And if you've been to the ocean, especially if you've seen big waves like this, there are tinges of green there. So, and it's not going to show up much, but it just adds a little bit. So we've got that, and it's gorgeous. Now what I could do is I could bring in my card and stamp it and have a lighter, but I'm going to not do that right now. I'll do that off camera another time. And let me just find a safe spot to move that. There we go. And this card that we're making is actually pretty simple, but I wanted to show that technique. You could, like I said, just stamp it with the one color, but this is a way of getting more than one color, and your Stamparatus makes that so easy to do. So I'm closing up my ink pads so that I don't put anything in them. And now, what else are we going to do here? Well, I thought we could use one of the sets of words. So there's your strength is an inspiration, or you're so totally awesome. There's also happy birthday and some other, but I think I could put happy birthday on the inside. I think I'll go with you're so totally awesome. Like that. And let's see. Who doesn't like to be told that they're totally awesome? There we go. We've got that there. And then we're going to do the little birds. Now, something that I always, that I was told, and now I always tell everybody else, big stamp, big pressure, little stamp, little pressure. And that is particularly the case with these little birds. They, if you put too much pressure, you're going to get ink from all over the place. So little pressure in the ink pad, little pressure here. So just sort of get used to saying that in your head. Little stamp, little pressure, big stamp, big pressure. Lots of pressure or whatever you want. Ooh, that is looking so nice. Now I'm going to bring in my Wink of Stella. Again, I just want to sort of hit the spots where the splashes are. And I could keep Wink of Stelling forever, so I better stop right there. And we've got our stamping done. So now our next step is to start to assemble our card. So we'll adhere that to this layer, to the Night of Navy. It's hard to see on that black backdrop there. Let me just bring in this. There we go. Okay, now we could put it right down. Whoops, I moved it before it was dry. There we go. I could put it right down on here and it would be a great card right there. But I could play with some of that. Oh, I knew what else I was going to show you. Oh, well, I'll come back to that in a minute. But I could add just a bit of foil paper behind it. Now that's the dark blue. And this is the Coastal Cabana, the lighter blue. So try to think in your head, the dark blue, the lighter blue, or if you're like me and can't make up your mind, all three. So what should I do? Light blue, dark blue, or all three? Just pretend they're nicely spaced out there, and that's nicely centered. Which do you think? And while you're writing that in, I meant to show you something before I glued this down. So here we've got this. We could add the white on top of here, and look at how it adds that dimension. We could add the designer paper on top, and it's not quite as drastic, or not drastic, startling, but again, it adds that dimension. Or we could add the foil onto here. So you can see how you could dress this up even more. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of threes. It seems like there could be all kinds of choices there, but a lot of threes. So we are going to put adhesive on the back of this and hope that I can get it on straight. So when I'm working with foil, it's the one time I prefer not to use liquid glue. I often will use glue dots, or I will use Seal or Seal Plus, just because I find with liquid glue, if even a smidge gets on the foil, you're hooped. You can't get it off. So it works well to use one of the dry adhesives. So I think I'm going to put the silver in the middle, or middle-ish. There we go. So we've got that one. Let's see. I love to use our grids. Grid paper is what I usually use, but I've got this. We used to sell these cutting mats, and I still like to use mine a lot. It takes my grid paper, or this helps me keep everything straight. So there we go. Let's see there. So there, we've got it like that. Now I think I will put this on dimensionals. Can't see my scissors, but you can just tear these. And remember, the edges work beautifully. They work just the same. Might as well use every little bit. Now, I happen to know that a few of you on here tonight live by the ocean, and I know at least one of you has a craft room overlooking the ocean. So this just might speak to you. I don't know. So now, the last thing we're going to do is add some of these great rhinestones that just coordinate. I love Stampin' Up's coordination, don't you? Okay, so the thing is, what color? Okay, I think I haven't used this color for a while. I think I will go with this, and maybe just put one right there, and maybe a couple of small ones splashing out. If I hadn't added these, it definitely would be a great masculine card, and they likely wouldn't even mind a few jewels like that. So there is tonight's card. Isn't that a fun stamp set? There's just so much you can do with it. Now, I could have dressed this up even more. I could have put some of those clouds on, right? I could have cut out the birds and put foil birds on. So there's a couple of dies for foil birds. So there's all kinds of ways you could dress it up. But I wanted to keep it fairly straightforward tonight and let you see how easy this stamp set is to use. Now, I do have just a few other samples to show you. Oh, I was going to show you the plain one, so it doesn't have the foil in the background and it doesn't have the embellishments, and yet it still looks great there. And this one was done with balmy blue instead of the Coastal Cabana. And now let's look at my little handy dandy bin here. Here is another one. I've put the foil through this here, and I've got the pelican, and I'm loving this suite. Here I've put vellum over top of the designer paper and added a bit of ribbon, and so there's that one. This one I think is one of my favorites. I just love this effect always. So like that. So I love how the waves coming down. This one, it was an alternative I shared in my tutorial in my newsletter that came out on the weekend. But here I just put some designer paper, some of the wave, and a couple of gems. And there's the happy birthday from the set and one more gem. So there it is there. This one, I was playing around. I thought, I wonder what white on white looks like. So I put the white wave on the white background, and I don't have the wave embossing folder. So I used the bark one. I figured it looked like waves. Put white birds on, and I had stamped it before I ran it through the embossing folder. So that's a very white one, but I wanted to just see what it looked like. Then another one that I played around with, I wanted to show that we have like the seashell embossing folder and how that looks with just a portion of the wave featured. So remember, look through the supplies that you have. Some of the other things you may have is that little sailboat with the punch that's in the mini catalog, or you might have Sailing Home. So this would look great combined with the stamp set. I think the whale stamp set would have lots of potential as well. And then, well, you'll find and look as you go. Now I have, this is, if you're in Stampin' Time this month, this week, cover your eyes if you don't want to see it ahead of time. But this one is one of our projects for our stamp club this week. And then it's going to open like that. It's a fun fold. So like that. And here's one more sample. So this is really featuring the designer paper and the pelican. And then it opens like that. So you see the designer paper like that. You can always have a look-see at that side too. So I think this set has so much potential. I've been having so much fun. In fact, ta-da! I'm offering a class to go. So Waves of the Ocean class to go, and it'll be in my newsletter tomorrow, but sign up is here. There are some options. One option is to get the class kit, which would include one adhesive sheet, not a whole package, just one adhesive sheet, a package of the jewels, the gems, rhinestones, and your project pieces, everything to make the projects that we're going to do. But you would need to have the stamp set and the dies. So the other one would be to buy the whole suite of projects. It's $109.50 before shipping and handling and GST. And then you get to have the class for free. So I would give you the write-ups with the measurements and everything, the videos, and the class packets. So watch for that idea. And I see somebody's just joining us from Nanaimo, and you just bought it. Well, you're going to have a lot of fun. If you're somebody who has purchased this, why don't you show some of your ideas in the comment section below? That would be really fun. So there, I think that's it. So remember, if you're ordering from my online store, it's found right here. And then once you get to my website, you would click, pardon me, on Shop Now, and then use this hostess code on any orders under $200. And if you are on YouTube, remember to hit that subscribe button. The more you give thumbs up and subscribes and all that kind of thing, the more it helps my business and my visibility. So I really appreciate it. Oh, I was going to mention, I'm rambling a little, this class, I do have an option if you're an international, if you live outside of Canada, where you can order the emailed handout and the videos. So if you can have that option, but I can't sell product outside of Canada. I think you know that. So thank you so much for spending your Monday evening with me, and I look forward to seeing you next Monday. Bye-bye.